Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jamaya. Today we are going to be addressing how to stop yelling and cursing at your kids. I was called to do this video. Let's just get into it. How to stop yelling and cursing at your kids. Number one, you must realize that it's not your kids that you're angry at. It's not your kids making you upset. You are upset with yourself. It started with you. You were always angry, but it didn't manifest until you had the perfect playground or opportunity to express it. So your kids are kind of like the perfect little excuse. And when I say excuse, I'm not saying it in a way like it's intentional, as if you went and sat down and said, my child is on the way. I think this is going to be my way to get my anger out. No. Oftentimes, we are subconsciously angry because we have trauma and stuff, built up that we don't recognize and that we can't put our fingers on, that manifests itself when it's in a certain environment. Hence, y'all, this is gonna be a whole nother topic, but this is how curses are passed down, because you have stuff that has been passed down from other people or a seed, and then once you get in an environment where that seed is watered and it starts to grow. So that's what I mean when I say your kids are like the perfect playground or the perfect excuse for that thing to manifest. So that's what you want to be mindful of. Firstly, it's not your kids that's the problem. You were always angry. You always had that frustration that you expressed towards your kids. Your kids were just an outlet for it. So the number one thing that you need to do is start to dig deep. Fast, pray, give it out, right? Get intimate with the Lord. Form a prayer life if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, it should raise a little bit of questions if you haven't already seen a few things. But you need to find out, what is it that is in you that brings out that spirit? What is it that is being triggered in that interaction with your kids that triggers you to act in the ways that you do? And that kind of brings me to the next point. The next thing that you must do is realize that you're going to be angry no matter how old your kids are. They have some people that say, I can't wait till y'all turn 18. We see a lot of people with that mindset of when their kids are 18, they pretty much don't have to take care of them, or the problems will go away. Or even, I see people that think that when a child is younger, it'll be harder, and then as they grow it'll be easier. So how people call it like terrible twos or the terrible threes or whatever they call it, and they think that as a kid gets older it's going to be easier to deal with them. But if you are already yelling and cursing at a child, no matter what age they are, it's not going to go away. They're always going to be a child. And from my first point, you're always going to be angry if you don't find out what it is. So you're not going to be able to detach the yelling and the cursing from your parenting, because it's not about the child or the age that they are. It's about you. So that's your second thing. You must realize that no matter how old your child is, you're still going to be angry. So don't look forward to them being a certain age and equating them being older with you coming out of the stronghold that you're in with the cursing and the yelling. Don't do that, because you're setting yourself up for failure. No matter how old that child is, they could be 35. They're still going to be your child. Not in regard to seniority, but in regard to relation. So the age doesn't matter. Relationally, you will always be their mother, the mother. They will always be a child. So the age won't matter. It's about the attitude. It's about that spirit that's following you throughout parenting them. And to address that point with the whole, it'll be easier when they get older, it's actually going to be the exact opposite. Because as children grow, they get into more things. They learn more things. And honestly, if a child is growing up, and this is just my opinion, if a child is growing up in an environment with hostility, there probably is some type of anointing or calling on their life, because if they're going through so much so early, what is the enemy trying to stop them from doing, right? What is the enemy trying to stop from manifesting in God's kingdom? With a lot of these kids, if they're going through so much so early, they're probably anointed. So while you have this mindset of things will get easier as they get older, it's actually going to be the opposite. Because if you have one of these anointed kids that you're cursing and yelling at, as they get older, it's going to seem like they're defiant, because they're going to start to recognize the faults that are in you and in the world, or maybe even in the family. So you're thinking it's going to get easy and you're going to stop yelling and cursing, but that child is going to come up and their anointing will start to come out. Their assignment will start to show. And if you don't deal with whatever that is got you yelling and cursing, that spirit that's in you, which usually has something to do with rejection or unforgiveness, if you don't deal with that, that child is going to trigger that further. And the yelling and cursing is going to turn into something different. The yelling and cursing is going to turn to, you have to get out of my house, okay? It's going to turn into, you have to find somewhere else to stay, okay? It's going to turn into you putting your, if you're married or if you have a partner, it's going to turn into you taking sides instead of being able to resolve conflict as you should as the woman of the house or the man of the house. It's going to be a lot more problems than just you yelling and cursing. They're not going to be a child anymore, right? They're not going to be as innocent anymore. They're going to have logic. They're going to be able to think for themselves. They're going to have their own opinion. So it's only going to get harder. Just to debunk that point, I went off on a little tangent there. Third thing that you must do is give the child the same grace that God gives you, okay? The same space to be a human and exist and have faults and make mistakes as God gives you. I just have a question for you. And you can answer me. You can answer me if you want to. You don't have to. Did God come down here and pop the living daylights out of you every time you did something that he knew humans was going to do? So why are you holding a child accountable for something when it's their first time here on earth? Or even better yet, why are you holding the child accountable for something and punishing them and literally beating on them or degrading them with your words for doing something that you haven't taught them not to do or to do? I just need that answer. How is it that you can hold a child to a standard that you haven't taught them to live up to? That's like taking a 6th grader and putting them in a class with 8th graders and then punishing them when he failed the 8th grade test. You didn't coach them. You didn't give them that same discipline, the same curriculum, the same tutoring style. You didn't give them any of the preparation they needed to be held up to that point. You can't hold a child accountable or discipline them in a way that's, even if they did know, you can't discipline a child in a way that's demeaning if they don't know better. You should never, ever do something to anybody that God doesn't do to you. Think about your life. You probably still on cloud 9 from some of the things that you were able to get away with that you didn't get punished for. Like, if you got away with doing something slick and you never got punished for it, you probably caught yourself telling a little story about it. Oh, I remember this one time. Woo, 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 woo. Remember that time? And God let you get away with that? So why are we not having that same energy when it comes to kids? Not saying that no discipline should be in place. Not saying that there should not be boundaries, there should not be discipline. But not only are you wrongfully disciplining the child sometimes, you are degrading them. So when you was at the Walmart self-checkout and you was changing the tags on that stuff and you was sliding that Snickers bar under that container and all of that, God saw you. And he let you walk out that Walmart. So why you gotta bring out curse words and yelling when it's time to talk to your children? The person that came out of your womb, the person that God trusted you to steward, to use for a vessel for his kingdom. That's not adding up for me. I want you to know that all the things that you've done that God let you get away with, he let you get away with it so that what I'm saying to you right now could burn deep in your soul and you can see the hypocrisy in the way that you've been parenting and the discipline that you've been using and the ways that you have treated others, not even just your kids, other people in general. All the things that you've done, and I'm sure you have done some things. Nobody is the holiest person. Nobody is perfect, okay? So I know there are some things that you have done, even if it's something that only you know. I know that it's something that you've done that God has allowed you to get away with, or that he has not openly punished you for. That's why he let you do it, so that you can understand his love and his grace, and you can give that to somebody else, especially your kids. The next thing that you must realize is that when you are cursing and yelling at your kids, you are giving them the baseline for their treatment, okay? So like I said before, you are pretty much teaching this child how to exist in humanity. You're teaching them how to operate in society. You are teaching them the standard for everything they know. So what you are doing to them is teaching them something. So if you're yelling and cursing at your children, that'll become normal to them. That'll become what they look for when they go out into the world. That'll be their sense of normalcy. I want to challenge y'all. If you struggle with the yelling and the cursing, try with all your might to take just one day. Take just one day and commit to just observing your children. Complete silence if you can. If your children are more self-sufficient, if they know how to make their own food and stuff like that, just commit to a day and just watch your children. You hear them in the kitchen, go in the kitchen and just watch them. Then they run, go in the room and just watch them. They might ask your mommy, daddy, what's going on or what's wrong? But I want you to pay attention to their conflict resolution, or if they're able to operate without chaos. You would usually find that your children, since they're yelling and the cursing is their baseline, their normalcy, they probably have some of those same characteristics. Or if they don't, they'll find a way to create that atmosphere of hostility that comes from the yelling and cursing when it's present. It might be a case of your children turning situations where a simple solution is so obvious into something so chaotic. If you see these things that I'm pointing out, this is your sign that yelling and cursing has become their sense of normalcy. This is another little sidebar off this point. So you are teaching your children to accept the lowest level of treatment. That's just another way to put it into words. So you are their caregiver, or you probably are. Some cases you are the only caregiver or the main caregiver. You might have help, you might not. But either way, when your child came out of you, or when they were an infant, they cried when they needed milk, whatever you fed them. However, whenever they need something, they knew to go to mommy. This is why they say, mommy, I'm hungry, because they understand that you are the person that will provide these things for them, right? They understand that you are responsible for their basic needs. This is why they come to you, right? So when mommy, who gives me the food when I'm hungry, or when I say, mommy, I'm cold, she gives me a blanket. When mommy, that same person who is the source of my care, who is the source of my comfort, curses at me and yells at me, I think that is a normal part of having a mommy. And if mommy is the baseline for everything that I have and everything that I receive, then that's right. So not only will the child come to learn to accept that from others, they're going to take on that same trait. Now, whether or not they have kids, this will manifest in other ways. At school, with other kids. This is why we see so many children, or you might see kids that are so young, but they have filthy mouths, or they curse a lot. You just wonder where they get their language from. This is why you see kids like that, because we have parents who yell and curse at their kids, and they're not realizing that, yes, you may be frustrated with whatever the situation may be with your child, but you are pretty much showing them how to treat themselves, how to allow others to treat them, and how to treat other people. So what a child truly is experiencing when you mad at them for wasting orange juice on your white couch is much more than verbal abuse. It's not about, oh, mommy mad, she just cursed. This is framing their world. This is framing their minds. It's framing the way they will present themselves and how they will allow other people to treat them. It just resides in their brains. It forms a house. When we are teaching children and they're growing up, we're building houses in their brain, right? We build a house for we build houses teaching them how to care for themselves. Every morning you get up, you brush your teeth, you make your bed, you say your prayers, or whatever you should show your child how to do in regards to taking care of themselves. That'll be the house you build for that. And then you have a house over here. This is how you love. This is how, we teach them different things, and everything is a house. So think about it in that way. Everything that a child is absorbing and taking in, and that they are experiencing, will become walls, and it'll be houses. And as they grow older, all they would do is add and add and add to the house. If something doesn't fit, it will have to be removed from the home, or it won't go up at all. It just won't stick, right? So realize that you are building the foundation of a house with every word that you speak to your child. Okay? It's not about you cursing, and I understand it can be hard. I know it can be hard to stop cursing, let alone stop cursing when you're angry. I do know what it's like to curse when you're angry. I once had a filthy mouth. Trust me. Oh, you can't tell me. Oh, I didn't know nobody cursed better than me. Okay, so that is all I have for y'all in regards to that. And just something else. If your child stopped breathing right now and they turn blue, you would either do, I would assume you would either take them to the hospital or try to perform CPR yourself, call 911. You would do everything you could to make sure that your child was okay, right? So I want to equate, and I know that's a real deep point, right? I want to get y'all to think about it in that way. Life and death is in the tongue. And regardless of whether you like it or not, the words that you speak over and to your child are either going in the direction of life or death. You have to pick which one it will be. You have to pick in the moments where you stepped on that Lego. You have to pick every time your child is constantly calling your name. You have to pick every time where you just got off from work and the house looks a mess. The chicken ain't thawing out in the sink. Nobody is in order. No homework is done. Nobody's taking baths. You have to pick in that moment, life or death. Each moment you have to pick. You can't just reserve saving their life when it comes to the physical things, but you have to take on that same energy when it comes to the spiritual. Because let me tell you, the physical, it's gonna diminish anyway. Your kids are gonna pass on. You're gonna pass on anyway. So let's not focus all of our attention. Let's not focus all of our efforts and our cares on the physical, because that's not gonna give them life. They already have life in the physical. Okay, they're already living. The true thing that matters is the spiritual. You don't want to bind your children. You don't want to speak curses over your children. You don't want to put them so low and so far under the dirt that when it's time for them to go out into the world on their own, they're having to dig themselves out instead of sprouting. Don't hinder your child because you're upset and you're angry. Now, with this, back to my very first point, y'all, you must find out why you are angry. It's not about your kids. No matter how you try to put it, I really want y'all to take that to the Lord. Take all of this to the Lord. Take it to the Lord and find out what it is that you're angry about. And I know it may be, you may think you healed and this and that, and you're not angry about nothing, and you feel like you have all these reasons why you are validated and justified in cursing and yelling at your children, but I guarantee you that you are not. Okay? So take that to the Lord, fast and pray on it. God bless you.